best car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we've got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
And we are pleased to announce, as usual, we have the owner of that establishment here live in the studio. I guess that beats the alternative, doesn't it? Ready to take any phone inquiries from you concerning the price of a car or a truck or an SUV that you're thinking of buying or selling or trading in. Here's all you need to do. Give us a call, 478-3116, 478-3116, and we will see that you are connected with Mr. Ivan Streckel. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Don. Thanks so much for the introduction. And here we go again. We have a double format today, which means that we are live on the radio, which is 1370 AM radio, the oldest talk radio show in Pensacola. And we're also videotaping this for our Blab TV customers. It goes outside the Pensacola, inside Pensacola, and also outside the Pensacola area. So if you're watching this on TV, you're probably not dead, but I'm not live either. So what that means is you don't have to bother calling in, but you can call the phone number on your screen if you want to join us to get a value on your car. And that's one of the things that we want the people in the Pensacola area to know, that we help people get values. And I'm not talking about internet values. I've got a laptop in front of me right now, which what I do is I plug in my program that you can't get, which is called a Price Driver Dealer Track Technology System, which gives me up-to-date information that's not available to the general public. Now, you can call your bank, who uses this book that I have in my hands, which is an NADA value guide. Now, the banks and credit unions and most of the insurance companies in our area use this NADA guidebook, but unfortunately, even this book right here, which you can get from your banker, is not available on the internet. So I have these books available at Frontier Motors, and the reason that I use this particular book is because if the banker books it out at a certain amount of loan value, this book becomes real handy for us, especially if you have a customer walking in that wants to finance 100%, because the bank will only finance 100% of the average retail price. We also have with us the Black Wholesale Guidebooks, and the wholesale guidebooks are what goes on at the auction. But better yet, I just bring this to show people that are watching this on TV that there is such a thing as a black book. We really don't use these books anymore because all of the data in this book is now on the internet, and that is called the Manheim Market Report, which is they compile all of the auctions nationwide through Manheim Auctions, which is the largest auction chains in the world. There's over 100 Manheim auctions. We happen to be lucky enough to have a Manheim auction right here on W Street in Pensacola. And that auction runs on Tuesday, for example. They run anywhere from 400 to 700 cars every Tuesday. The second largest auction in the nation also is a Manheim auction, and that runs also on Tuesday, and that's in Orlando. And they run anywhere from 3,500 to 6,000 cars at that auction. But throughout the South, we have the ability to track almost 25,000 cars every week that are sold through the Manheim auctions. And that is compiled in a data called the Manheim Market Report. So when somebody calls into the show, or they stop at Frontier Motors and they say, well, I want to know what my car is worth. Well, one of the things that I do at that point is I look at the NADA retail, I look at the Black Wholesale Guidebook, and then I get into the market report to find out what real live data is as far as what is that car selling for right now at the auctions. And they average that out. Obviously, there's going to be some inexpensive ones, and there's going to be some expensive ones. So they average that out so I can find out. And if, for example, and we'll use, let's use a Buick Regal. I got a Buick Regal right here. We'll use a Buick Regal as an example. And what happens when I pull up a Buick Regal, a 2014 Buick Regal, I average out the book values. It says that the Manheim Market Report says that their average selling price wholesale of a 2014 Regal is $18,700. The Black Wholesale Guidebook, which says clean book, is $18,200. So the Black Wholesale Guidebook is a little bit lower than what's happening at the auction. The NADA loan value is $18,000 and retail is $22,900. So by looking at those three books, I average them out, and I would say that I should be able to buy this car at the auction somewhere between $18,500 and $19,000. So I put that in my I list that on my paper, and I say, okay, let's use the high end, $19,000. It's going to cost me almost $1,000 to buy the car and to haul it back. And those fees are the auction fees, the buyer's fees, and the transportation and the get ready. So we average that out at $1,000. Now I have $20,000 invested in it. I already told you retail is $22,900. Most people don't want to pay full retail, so I could mark that car up $2,000 and say that I can get you that car, make a profit at $22,000. Maybe a little less than that. If I marked it up $1,500, I could get for $21,500. So if you are looking at a car that is for sale at another car dealership, or maybe your neighbor's got a car, maybe somebody at work has a particular car for sale, don't tell me what they're asking. Just give me the details of the car. I'll do the same thing I just did, and I will tell you, here's what I can sell a car in prime condition like the one that you're looking at. So if, for example, I tell you $21,500 and the dealer has got it marked at $22,900, which is retail, well, they've got to come off that price about $1,500 to get that price down to what I can do at Frontier Motors. Now, lots of times, I'll have that car right on the lot. I looked this morning and it says in my AAX, which is my inventory program, says that we have 389 cars in inventory, which is an all-time record. We're hitting close to the 400 car mark. The advantage of that, of course, is that most of the time when a customer calls in, I already have a similar car like that on the lot. And instead of me doing all the research, I can just let you know how much my car is available for, and you can use that information to go ahead and buy the car that you have already found. Now, sometimes I'll end up making a sale because maybe the one you found, you're not in love with the color. Maybe it's red and you want a white one. I happen to have a white one. And let's say mine's got 15,000 miles on it, and the one you're looking at's got 20,000 miles on it, and mine's got navigation, the one you're looking at doesn't. These are all things that are going to make a difference. But I think the number one thing that makes a difference when you talk about the price of the vehicle, and we discussed this in the last show, is the condition of the vehicle. And I'll use the example of the 2014 Honda Accord Sport, which I pulled up on my price driver. The AX gives me an idea of what's available within 150 miles. So I plugged in that particular car in 150 miles. The most expensive one was $25,800, and it was at AutoNation. The least expensive one was also at AutoNation, and it was at $18,700. So you had a difference of almost $7,000 in price, and it was at the same dealership. Now, what's the difference? Honda doesn't have any equipment, so you can't blame it on things like sunroof or cruise control or navigation or backup camera, because Honda makes it simple. The Honda Accord Sport is the same no matter where you go, so there's no difference in options. There was a difference of 8,000 miles. 8,000 miles equates to about $1,000 in value, but there was still $6,000 more at the own dealership from high to low. The reason? The condition of the car. And that's one thing I get sometimes a little bit irritated when the banker opens up this NEDA guidebook and they open it up and they say, well, you got a 2007 SRX has got a clean retail of $10,350, so don't pay any more than that. They never bother to ask anything about the condition of the car. They don't ask you how many owners. They don't ask you if there's been an accident. They don't ask you the color. All those things affect the value of the car. Color is a big deal. The number one reason I either make a sale at Frontier Motors or lose a sale at Frontier Motors is because they either love the color or they hate the color. I've always got a little sales tool that I use. Would you take the wrong color for the right price? That works 50% of the time. A lot of times the customer says, yeah, you know what? I would take the wrong color for the right price. And the reason I ask that is because there are certain colors that I can buy for less money than other colors. For example, if you talk about a Lexus, a pearl white Lexus with a light color leather interior can run as much as $2,000 more than, for example, a black on black Lexus or a dark blue and black Lexus. Now, the book is going to book them out the same. But reality is when they're running through the lanes at the auction, one is going to be quite a difference in price as long as everything else is the same, including the condition. But getting back to condition, folks, we at Frontier Motors do not buy a car unless it's rated at least a 4 out of 5. The auction rates the cars from 0 to 5. When I say rating, what they do is they get the cars inspected as they go into the auction. They have an inspection process, which they never had years ago, but it makes it a lot easier for me to buy a car at the auction because I already know the condition of the car. If the car is not at least a 4 or above, usually actually it has to be a 4.5 or above, I don't even mess with it. A lot of dealerships on purpose buy a 2 or a 3 rating out of 5. The reason they do that is because they can buy that car sometimes $2,000 to $3,000 less and use that for an advertising gimmick. And I bet you that's what AutoNation did when they bought their Sport. They bought one that was completely beat up, smoked in, maybe an accident, maybe airbags deployed. They bought it really, really cheap so they can use it for advertising, saying that we've got a 2014 Honda Accord Sport starting from $18,777. And then you go and you look at that car when you travel to AutoNation, which I believe is over in Mobile. I'm not even sure where it was. It's 48 miles away, so it could be towards the west. You get there and you look at the car, and it's a complete rat. You say, I'm not buying this car. Look at the condition of this car. Well, we got one over here that's really, really nice, much better condition. Non-smoker, one owner, clean history report. Come on and look at this one. They show you that one. That's the one for $25,700. And then the haggling starts. You want one in the middle. Throw the cheap ones away when you're looking at the car. They're too cheap. There's something wrong. Because if they were a good deal, I would have been there. The auction report says that clean wholesale on a 2014 Honda Accord Sport is between $19,000 and $20,000 wholesale. That's what a dealer pays. They've got one advertised for $18,777. Now, if that was a good car, I'd already bought it. I'd rather buy it from a local dealer than go to Orlando, 48 miles away versus 500 miles away. Makes common sense. But there's something wrong with that car, is what I'm getting at. These are the things that we help you with at Frontier Motors. The other thing we can help you with if you're going to buy a brand new car, I've got the new car cost guides. If you go to Consumers Reports, in the back of every Consumers Reports, they have an ad. And I've got one right here. And it says that if you want to buy an invoice from Consumers Reports, they'll sell you an invoice for $14. Now, the reason they do that is because they want you to know what the dealer cost is, because if you know what the dealer cost, you can get yourself a better deal. Well, I've got the invoice for every new car at Frontier Motors. I subscribe to the new car cost guide, so when I open it up, it tells me exactly what the markup is. And when I'm looking at a Ford Flex, for example, it tells me the retail value is $29,100 and the dealer invoice is $27,427. That's how easy it is, and we can help you make sure that if you're going to buy a new car, that you don't pay too much. Now, why would we mess around with this? Why would we tell you what you should pay for a new car? Well, one reason is because, let's say, for example, you're asking about a 2014 Lexus, and you want to buy an RX 350, maybe a leftover 14 or maybe a 15. Or it could be almost the 16s are almost out, so it could be a leftover 15, for example. And you come on our lot to ask what the dealer cost is on that particular car, and I show you the 15 that I have in stock that has 8,000 miles on it. And I give you a price on that, and I give you a trade-in value for yours, and we're going to compare that to a brand new one. And a lot of times, I would say probably 7 out of 10 times, I can convince the customer that's going to buy the brand new one to buy one with 5,000, 10,000 miles on it. And I'll give you an example of what we have in inventory. Because the inventory that we have, we try to cater to the customer that's thinking about buying brand new. Now, if somebody has to buy a brand new car, I would be out of business if somebody didn't buy new. I just don't want it to be you. I want it to be somebody from Atlanta or somebody from New York or somebody from anywhere else but Pensacola. So that way, when you buy that car, you're going to be the one that's going to take the depreciation, take advantage of the depreciation. I've got a chart. Consumers Reports 3 months ago printed a chart. I bring this up in almost every show because I've been talking about this on the show on Blab and at WCOA for going on 19 years. I've been talking about the alternative to the new and how much cars lose when you drive them off the lot. And everybody knows that they lose money when they drive their car off the lot as far as if they want to trade it in within 12 months. But Consumers Reports now put in writing. It's the first time I saw this chart. It says that last year in 2014, the average selling price of a new car was $34,000. The average depreciation after 1 year was 27%, which is $9,180. That's how much you lose when you buy a brand new car, if you want to get rid of that car in 1 year. Now, of course, if you don't want to get rid of it in 1 year and you say, well, I want to drive that car for 2 years and get rid of it, then you lose 37%. So in 2 years on that new car that was $34,000, you lose $12,580. Let's say you kept it 3 years, you would lose $15,600. If you kept it 4 years, if you bought a brand new car today, 4 years later, you would lose $19,000. Buy that 4-year-old car from us and save the $19,000. Even if I marked it up $2,000, you'd still save $17,000. And that's why we specialize in low mileage cars. Now, because we have so many cars, matter of fact, I'm going to give you an example of low miles. I've got 2014 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited on the lot. It's got 1,000 miles on it. I've got a Buick Regal. We talked about the Buick Regal. It's got 1,000 miles on it. We have a Nissan Quest. It's got 1,000 miles on it. We have a Nissan Rogue with 1,000 miles. We have a Lexus RC350. This is their new sports car, two-door coupe they just came out with, which I drove to the radio show, the Blab show here today. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's got 1,500 miles on it. We have a Ford Edge with 1,600 miles on it, Honda Civic with 2,000 miles on it, an MKZ, which is a Lincoln car, 2,000 miles on it, a Mitsubishi Galant with 2,000 miles, and a Buick Enclave with 2,500 miles on it. I can go on and on and on. I've got at least 150 cars on the lot that have under 15,000 miles on it. And you're driving an F350 diesel that you thought were going to pull your fifth wheel with, and you decided, man, I don't want to do that. I'm driving down the expressway at 70 miles an hour. People are passing me like it's standing still. The thing is quivering and wivering, and I just do not want to mess with my fifth wheel. I made a big mistake. I want to get rid of my diesel truck and buy a brand new Lexus. So you go over there, and they appraise the car. They appraise your truck. And you get shocked. Well, why is that appraisal low? It's not because they're trying to rip you off. It's just because they don't have too many people looking for a diesel truck on a Lexus lot. And that's why you stop at Frontier Motors, because we sell a lot of diesel trucks. Being an independent dealer that sells 200, 250 cars every month, which is about 60 to 65 a week, we need all makes and models. So we're not prejudiced as far as what you're driving. I don't care if you're driving a sports car. The only thing we don't do a lot with, if people were to say, well, what don't you deal with? We don't deal in a lot of exotic cars that are what I would consider antiques. I had a customer call me the other day, wanted to trade in a Model T Ford. Well, we do advertise that we take anything in trade. I don't care if it's a rifle, if it's a ring, if it's coins, if it's a Shetland pony. It don't matter what it is, because we can turn around and get a buyer for anything. So what I would do is, if you have a Model T Ford, I'm not going to praise it. I don't know nothing about that Model T Ford, but I have people that do. So I can still take it in trade, but you might not get as much for it as you would if you went to someone that deals in things like that. And that's the same correlation that I'm trying to make, that if you have a diesel truck buying from a Acura dealership, they're not excited about your trade. That's one reason you get a low appraisal. And that's why you stop at Frontier Motors, to get that second opinion before you go there. And our opinion is not just, this is what they should give you. We don't want to kink their deal. We're going to give you a buy bid. Whether you buy a car from us or not, I'll just say, hey, that diesel truck, I'll give you $41,000 for it, whether you buy something from me or not. Now, you can use that figure and go buy over there at the Lexus dealer mobile, and then I'll just go ahead and trade it in there. Because if you got a $41,000 truck and you're buying a $41,000 car, guess what you pay for taxes? You pay zero on taxes. If you sell me the truck and you go over there, you're going to have about a $2,500 tax liability. So get the best of both worlds. Trade it in at the dealership, and I'll buy the car right from the dealership, but you're using my appraisal. Instead of their low appraisal, use my high appraisal. Works great. Everybody's happy. You save a bunch of money in taxes. They don't have to pay the higher appraisal figure that I'm putting on, and I get the car that I want because I've got a buyer for the car, or I need it for the lot. So everybody's happy, and that's why you should stop at Frontier Motors. If you're from the Pensacola area, you stop at Frontier Motors before you go to Mobile to look at a brand new car. I'm still mystified sticker shock, $34,000 on the average, 27% depreciation the first year on a new car, $9,100. After 5 years, a brand new car loses 64% of the value, $21,760, according to Consumers Reports. Boy, oh boy, what a difference. We want to get the word out that we will buy your car, and I think a lot of dealerships do this, where they advertise, we'll buy your car whether you buy a car from us or not. There's actually a dealership down the road that has a billboard that says, we'll buy your car whether you buy a car from us or not, and we're the only dealer that does that, and that's false advertising, because that's not true. I'm sure there's a lot of dealerships out there that will buy a car without you buying a car from them. The issues that you have sometimes when you go to some dealerships is that they might not have a buyer at the dealership buying the car. So it's kind of hard to get that buy fee, because the used car manager is appraising all the trade-ins, and then they have a buyer that buys cars from people that aren't trading, that are not buying nothing, that have a car. At Frontier Motors, we have a buyer there that'll appraise your car within 15 to 20 minutes every day except for Sunday. So you don't have to wait around for an hour and a half, 2 hours, or make an appointment. You don't need an appointment. You drive in Frontier Motors. We use our smartphone. We have a program where what we do is we just scan the ID number, and it automatically, we don't even have to do anything. It automatically goes to our computer, and we pull up all those books that I've been talking about, and within a couple of minutes, I can give you a buy bid on your car. I can tell you, here's what I'll write you a check for. Here's what I'll give you if you trade it in by us. I'll normally pay a little bit more, not a lot more, but a little bit more if you buy something from us. The other thing I can do is, if you aren't needing to replace that car, I might be able to sell it for you on consignment. And I'll normally give you $1,000 to $1,500 more on consignment, because I don't have to tie up my cash. That way I've got two cars for the price of one. If you've got a $20,000 car, I can take that $20,000 and buy a $20,000 car, get yours for nothing, and put it on consignment for $21,500. I just won't make as much money. Let's say they both sell for $22,000. On one, I'm only going to make $500 because I'm giving you $1,500 more. But to me, $500 is better than nothing at all. And the way that I make money is if I sell that car and just make a little bit on it. What if I take a trade and I can make money on that one? What if I take another trade and make money on that one? And that's one of the reasons I do consignments. Do not go to a dealership that does consignments and charges a fee. There's one dealership I know for sure because the customer told me about 2 months ago that they went to the dealership to put their car on consignment and they want $250 a month, $250 a month to put the car on consignment. Well, what incentive does that dealer have to sell it? He loses income if he sells the car. What a scam that is. We don't charge anything. We don't charge a percentage. We don't charge a fee. What we do is we tell you, here, we're going to net you this much for your vehicle. So if I tell you I'm going to net you $20,000, anything over that's mine. Makes it real easy. If I sell it for $22,000, I make $2,000. If I sell it for $20,500, I make $500. Makes it real easy for everybody. The nice thing about it is I get a car that's local. I know the history. I know how many keys you got. I know if you got owner's manual. I know if it's been an accident because we get all that information from you, which sometimes at the auctions we don't. History reports really have helped. And the auction, I like buying cars at the auction because they guarantee the cars. If I buy a car from a private individual, I find out later on something went wrong with the car, I have no recourse. But with the auctions, I have recourse. So it makes it a lot easier for me to feel safe that I can buy from an auction without getting stuck because they guarantee the cars. Now, years ago, they never did that. When I got in the car business when I was 15, I remember taking the beaters to the auction to sell all the garbage. That's where all the garbage went. Not anymore. The auction now is an exchange. If, for example, Lexus dealership does take that diesel truck in trade, they take the car to that truck to the auction the next day. They sell it for $40,000. They use that $40,000 to buy a car for their lot that they normally would sell, which normally would be a used Lexus. Same thing with a Ford dealership. A Ford dealership takes in a Lexus in trade. They normally don't have too many people looking at a Ford lot, used car lot, for a Lexus. So they take it to the auction. They sell the car. They use the money, and they buy a Ford truck. And that's what makes the world go round. At Frontier Motors, we help people get good deals, whether they buy from us or not. And that to me is very important because people always say, well, I don't want to waste your time. I'm going to be there. If I'm there till 6 o'clock at night, how can you be wasting my time? I'm going to be there anyways. So stop in and ask questions. Don't feel bad. I've got 4 other sales managers there that help me to make sure that if I'm busy, they can answer the same question that I do. We do something called diminished value, folks. This is very important that if you've gotten into an accident, it wasn't your fault. And you've got, especially if you've got a newer type car. The value of your car now has been compromised. We had a customer the other day that had a car that had over $20,000 in damage, and they didn't total the car. Well, what do you think that does to the value of the car? If I took that car in trade and wanted to sell it to you the next day, why would you buy a car that had $20,000 in damage? Only one reason. It's a deal. I'm going to sell it cheaper, which means I'm going to pay you less for it to get it cheaper, which means you've just now lost money. You should ask your insurance company to compensate you for that loss. Now, they only do that. It's called diminished value. They only do that if it wasn't your fault. So if you run your car into a tree by accident, you have no diminished value. You're just going to have to take it on the chin. But what if somebody runs into you, runs a light, boom, broadsides your car. You got a brand new car and you see that TV commercial or, I've had it for a week and they don't want to pay you full price for it because now it's depreciated. By the way, you better find out. If you buy a brand new car, we just talked about the depreciation of $9,000 in the first year. You better find out what your insurance company pays if that car gets totaled. Because what if depreciated $9,100, but you still owe retail price on it? If you finance retail plus taxes, after a year, you're going to be very, very upside down. The insurance company only has to pay you the value of the car, not what you owe. And a lot of people don't understand that. That's one of the reasons you should buy gap insurance. Gap insurance might cost between $300 and $500, but it compensates you for that loss. So if the car lost $9,000 the first year, but you still owe $9,000 more on it, the gap insurance will pay the difference. So if you do buy a car, brand new or used, and you don't put a lot of money down, you might want to buy gap insurance. I think for the money, it's well worth it. Some aftermarket products are garbage. Gap insurance for the value is a pretty good deal if you're financing 100%. Now, if you put down $10,000, you don't need gap insurance because you're not upside down. But that's very, very important when we talk about diminished value, that you can come to Frontier Motors and we're one of the only ones that gives you a diminished value letter in writing. The other thing we'll do is if a car gets totaled, we'll tell you what you should get from the insurance company. We'll put that in writing also. I'll give you the NADA retail. Some insurance companies use comparables. I can pull up other comparables to give you the most amount of money. So if they tell you they're only going to give you $10,000 and I'm telling you retail is $12,000, and I can come up with comparables that also say $12,000, I might be able to get you an extra $2,000. Now, why would we mess around with that? You're not buying nothing from me. Well, if we help you put money in your pocket, when you're ready for a car, or you know somebody that's ready for a car, who are you going to recommend? I would think you'd recommend the guys that helped you. That would be Frontier Motors. And we've been doing this going on 20 years now. We've been in business for 19 years. That's a long time we've been doing this. And it really pays off for us because over 70% of our customers come and seek us out and buy another car from us. That's almost unheard of in the used car industry. It's not unheard of in the new car industry. So if you're loyal to a local Chevy dealer, for example, you go back there year after year and buy another one. So that's not unheard of. But a used car, people normally buy a used car where they find it. But at Frontier Motors, people come back to us, even if we don't have the car they want. Now, with having almost 400 cars in inventory, we might have exactly what you're looking for. But even if we don't, people still come back and say, hey, Ivan, I'd rather buy from you guys. I know you're going to make money when you sell me a car, but I also know you're not going to rip us off. So what we do is we spec out the car for you, and we go ahead and find that car for you the way you want. I had a customer the other day that's wanted a Volkswagen Beetle convertible. They want a white one, and they want low miles, they want automatic. So what I do is I didn't have one. It took me a month to find the car for them. When they come back on vacation, they're going to come and look at their Volkswagen Beetle that's on the lot. If it doesn't pass inspection, if it's not a nice car, don't buy it. That's our locate program. Of course, I won't buy it unless it's rated at least a 4 out of 5, which means it's going to be in above average condition. We've only got a couple of minutes left, so we want to talk about financing a little bit. A lot of people come in and say, I'm going to go to my credit union, my bank. Don't forget that finance companies that we use at Frontier Motors cater mostly to car loans. So you'll be pleasantly surprised that not only can we save you a bunch of money and free up your credit line so you're not using your credit union credit line, but you can get a lower rate a lot of times right at Frontier Motors from a strange bank that you don't even know because our banks deal just in car loans. So that's one thing we can help you with. The other thing is we can help you with, we talked about before, get an appraisal on your car before you go to a new car dealership to make sure that they're not reducing the value of your car. We talked about that a little bit. We talked about the fact that we can just write you a check for the car. I had a customer 2 months ago that came in and said, I'm going to buy a brand new car, but I don't want the hassle of a trade-in. He didn't like those games they sometimes play as far as what are you getting for mine and discount. So he said, I'm going to make it easy. I'm just going to sell the car to Frontier Motors and be done with it. So that's what he did. He had another car he could get around with until he bought his new car. I couldn't talk him out of buying a new car. And some people are like that. No matter what I say, hey, I can save you $8,000. I don't care. I got the money. I'm buying a brand new car. So this is meant to be the shout out for the people that want to save that money. The people that are doing the Dave Ramsey thing. If I can save you $8,000 on a 1-year-old car, which is extreme, by the way, that'd be a lot of money you could put towards something else, maybe a kid's college fund. A lot of things that we can do for you. Stop in at Frontier Motors at 230 Beverly Parkway and see how easy it is to do business to buy a used car. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.